Hello, sports fans. Welcome in. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Utah's number one sports talk, and proud to be part of Utah's ESPN radio network. I'm Scott Mitchell, filling in for Sean today and tomorrow. It's kind of been a reoccurring theme every weekend. Kind of as we get later in the week, Sean just needs a break. So they call him the reliever. I'm the reliever. I'm the closer. I'm going to close out the week. It's Throwback Thursday. So happy to be here with you. You can listen to us all over the place, all right? You go to ESPN700sports.com. You go to ESPN 700 app. You can do it on your smart speaker. Just tell it to play ESPN 700. And, of course, we're on YouTube at ESPN 700 Sports Utah. Of course, there's also the podcast version on ESPN700sports.com and the ESPN 700 app. Our show today and every day is brought to you by Les Schwab Tires. Les Schwab has the tires, wheels, and accessories for whatever you drive. Stop by your local Les Schwab today, and their professionals will get the job right the first time. We like when they do the job right, and they do it right at Les Schwab. Anyway, so fun today. We got Coach Gordy Chiesa in the house. We're going to talk a little Utah Mammoth. We're always going to talk about football. Just a lot of fun going on today on the show. We're going to give away a few things because we like to do that. And, we might do some buying and selling while we're on the show. a lot to talk about. But there are some things that are happening in the world today. They're kind of, they're the hot headlines. And we're going to start the show with that. By the way, I don't know if you know this or not. You may or may not care. There's billions of people in the world. I think 1 billion people. Anyways, 1 billion Catholics in the world are understanding that there's a new pope in town. White smoke came out of what does it come out of? It's a chimney at the Vatican.
Yeah, so
I've been there. I've been to the Sistine Chapel where they all sit in the conclave, and a lot of people thought this was going to take forever. There's a lot of young new popes or cardinals, not popes, but cardinals who are kind of new to this process. They really felt that it was going to take some time, and apparently it hasn't. We don't know who the new pope is, but we do know that there is a new pope, and so hopefully he likes sports. That's what we want to know. Does the pope like sports? Does he support sports?
Yeah, you're right.
That's our big thing. We'll see if he does or he doesn't. I've been to St. Peter's Basilica. I've been to that whole area. It's amazing. I absolutely love Rome. It's one of my favorite cities in the whole entire world. It might be my first choice of places to go. Some people are like, nah, it's kind of touristy. It's kind of old. It's kind of whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It is. It's old, and it's fascinating, and it just has this rich, amazing history to it, and I just love it. There's nothing that excites me more in travel. Well, no, there is. There's one thing, Martin. Would you like to know what it is?
Absolutely.
It is in Italy, since, that's where the Pope is. I drove a scooter along the Amalfi Coast. And I'll just tell anyone out there, if you want to travel and you want to go somewhere, go to Italy, but go ride a scooter along the Amalfi Coast. Change your life. It's so fun. But don't do it in the summer because there's 1 million people there. Do it in the off season, the shoulders. Go in May, go in October, late September. Amazing. All right, so here's some crazy things that keep popping up, and I had to talk about these today. These are just some hot headlines that I had to talk about. One is the House versus the NCAA. Now, if you're not familiar with this, the House, it's an individual or a group of people or whatever, and it's all about paying players for their name, image, and likeness. It was agreed upon essentially last October. It guaranteed pretty much all of the Division I programs $20 million. Now, I don't know all of who gets it, but probably all the Power 5 schools for sure. So you have all these schools every year for the next, 8-10 years are going to get they're going to get $20 million. Now, a lot of these schools are making promises on this money. They're saying, hey, okay, we'll sign you. However, we're not going to get the money till July, but we have an agreement. When the money gets in, you get it. So a lot of things have changed. The rosters have gone to 105 players. Coach Whittingham talked about it with Utah, about how they've had to whittle down their roster. They've had to cut players. Part of spring football was trying to figure out who they're going to keep and who they're going to let go. There were teams that didn't sign high school kids because they didn't have scholarships. So all these schools are making preparations, but the deal's not done. It's not done. And the judge says, hold your horses. And this is the scary part to me. The longer this goes on, the longer this gets dragged out, this is a really, really bad thing for all sides. I mean, because they need to know. They need to know what their team's going to look like. And the judge basically said, I agree in principle. The only sticking point in this is I don't think you should limit the roster size. I think you should go back to where it was. And all of those players should be grandfathered in. So any player that you didn't give a scholarship to from high school, any player that was on your team that you've now cut, those players should come back. And for some reason, there's a sticking point about roster sizes. And I think the argument about it is, well, one school could just stack its roster, and they feel that's unfair. You know, in the NFL, there is a roster size, and you can't just have more players. I don't know how you can do that in today's, unless you just have grundles of money. Because here's what happens, and Utah's a perfect example of this. You have guys on your team, and they're your backups today. And those are the guys that are leaving your program. A lot of those guys are leaving your program because other teams know that they're talented. They know that they're good, and they're taking them. And you, as a program, you can't pay your backups that potentially who could be good.
Right.
So you got to kind of pick the best players that are your starters, the guys that are, you can't have those, you can't pay everyone. So this concern about stacking your roster, because folks go to Alabama and they pilfer their backups in Georgia and all these other schools.
That's true.
And why not? I remember when I was coaching high school football, we went to a football camp, and Alta High School was there.
Ooh.
And Alta is very good school, great reputation, great tradition. And the coach said, man, look at all the players I got. And he had 185 players in 3 grades.
Wow.
Sophomore, juniors, and seniors. Now, I'm a little old Springville. We don't have 185 players. And I'm like, well, what about the guy that's like your third string tackle? He would start for me. And I just think it's kind of sad or unfair to these kids. They don't get a chance to play because, you've stockpiled all these kids.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, they want to be here. They want to be part of the Alta tradition. And they want to sit on the bench, and they don't want to, and I'm like, wow. If they came to where I coached, they'd be starting. It just seemed kind of unfair. And I think that's a little bit about how the players feel today. Players don't care about, man, I want to be a part of the tradition. No. Like, I want to get paid, I want to play. And I'll go anywhere, and I've learned that it doesn't matter where I play, I still get drafted if I'm good. You still get drafted. So I this whole idea of, well, the argument that, it creates an unfair, I don't agree with that at all. But the judge said, figure it out. Write in the language for these. You gotta take care of these players who potentially were injured by being cut, and so that's what they're trying to figure out. The problem is they're not figuring it out. Like, it's still going on.
Yeah.
And if it's still going on, then the closer and closer you get to the deadline, the less likely you are to actually have a solution. And that's the scary part. They're going to pay out $2.8 billion. If they go to trial, it's going to be long. It's going to be arduous. There's going to be a lot of schools that are massively hurt by this.
Massively. I agree.
But if they do win, then your $2.8 billion goes up to $20 billion. So now so television, NCAA, all of these entities are going to be on the hook big time. And it's, I just, from my life experience, don't get into a lawsuit and don't go to court. Settle. Because nobody wins. The only people that win are the lawyers, the attorneys. And I just, even though you think you're right, you know you're right, it's a lot better to take a little bit less, take a little bit of a haircut than to go through a thorough annihilation. You just do not want that. You do not want that at all. Anyways, it's going on, and it's kind of flying under the radar a little bit, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal because they've all assumed that it was just going to happen, and it still hasn't happened. I mean, there was a decision that was supposed to happen in April, and it's now May. We're getting close to the middle of May. So do something about it. Okay, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had a comment that I thought was quite fascinating in their trouncing of the Denver Nuggets. And they said we played with desperation. Now, Martin, my ever faithful producer, said, what in the world does it mean to play with desperation? Like, what is that like? What I guess makes my head scratch is like, why does it take losing a game before you all of a sudden decide to play with desperation? Like, the playoffs are desperation. Like, there is no tomorrow in the playoffs. Like, you should start every day with desperation. That's where this thing should begin. And it drives me crazy. And I've watched this for years. I've watched these players really good, and they get tentative for some reason. They settle for the jump shot. They just sit and shoot outside. I believe we have a new pope, by the way. Breaking news, it looks like there's a new pope. He has actually come to the pontiff's window in his apartment. And so don't know who it is just yet, but it looks like he's reading something. And this is a bit of a surprise to people because this was not supposed to happen as it was expected to be a long-term deal. But there is a new pope, and the pope is speaking at this time. So there you have it. I know you tuned in to hear sports and you get the Pope. It's good, though. It's a good thing. We all need religion in our life, whatever it might be. God's a good thing. Okay, so these basketball players, and they get I don't want to say they get timid, but they certainly aren't playing with desperation. So they end up losing. And then the next game you see them, and inevitably they will drive to the basket. They get more aggressive. They're either going to score, they're going to get fouled, but they're taking the game to the other team. And I it's perplexing to me. I don't understand it. It's like, why didn't you do that in the other game? Why did it take you kind of playing, and settling for a jump shot when you could have, really just taken the ball to the basket, really played more aggressive? And so this whole idea of desperation is a fascinating thing to me, and it has a powerful component to it, because there's something about I had a peak performance coach say, if I walked up to you right now and I stabbed you in the leg with a knife, everything else wouldn't matter right now. Like, the only thing that would matter would be, like, get this knife out of me and get this person away from me. And so your focus comes into, like, right now in the moment. And that's kind of desperation. Like you're like nothing else matters. Like and you'll do whatever it takes to get out of the situation, to work through the situation, to it's what happens. It's the fight or flight syndrome, and your body's trying to figure out, and you get yourself into that state. They call the state the zone, right? In sports, he's in the zone. And that desperation mode actually gets you in the zone. Now, I believe the Boston Celtics aren't a team that's desperate. I think they're a team that's panicked. And panic and worry and anxiety are different than desperation. Desperation actually, I think in a lot of ways, creates results. The question is, how long do those results land? Or how long do they actually happen? Clearly, the OKC Thunder played with desperation. They won by 43. But it's a fascinating process or thing that happens in sports when these teams play with desperation. I remember in 1995 playing for the Detroit Lions, and we started the season 0-3. And we all of a sudden became a very desperate team. There was one or two teams at the time ever that had made the playoffs after starting 0-3. And we turned it around. We went 10-3 the rest of the season, made the playoffs, and had one of the most explosive offenses in NFL history. But every week was desperation at that point. Like, you couldn't lose. I mean, if you lost, you were like, you were out of the playoffs. So it really changed. It kind of changed the dynamic of things. And then what happens, though, is when you're in that mode, that desperation mode, there comes a point of exhaustion. Like you've been doing this for so long, you're just like, oh man, I'm just
done.
You get spent.
Yeah.
And you ultimately you just tap out. Now, how far you can go on desperation is one thing, but eventually it takes its psychological toll on you. If you think about a team that's trying to climb back in a game, they're a perfect example. You got a couple of teams that are down 0-2 in the NBA playoffs, and they're going to spend a lot of energy, a lot of effort trying to climb back in these series, and that effort is almost more than if they were on the other side of it. It almost takes a Herculean, or it takes a bigger effort or more energy, because you can't lose at this point.
Yeah.
So you got to ensure that you win. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you've caught up to them.
Right.
And then all of a sudden your energy just kind of goes away, and then it's like you get back in it, but you don't finish out the season. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. So you talk about desperation changes how you are on the court. How does desperation change you off the court, in the locker room, in the meetings, stuff like that? Like, now that, like, take Boston for example, they're down 0-2. Like, they got to change their practices, they got to change their meetings, they got to change something, right, to get the attitude back, right?
Well, sometimes, like immature teams, like teams that have good leadership, strong leadership within the team, they keep everyone together, because it's almost like a sinking ship, and it's like every rat to himself. You're just going to find whatever safety valve, whatever floating piece of wood you have to survive, and the ship that doesn't go down is the one where everyone stays together, because it gets really easy to all of a sudden point fingers, blame other people. And when you're in a sport like football, there's two sides to the ball, and you don't spend a lot of time with the defense. But what you do is you're on the sideline and you're watching them perform, and you're like, these guys are idiots. Like, stop somebody. And they look at you and they go, can you score some points? Can you sustain a drive? Can you get a first down? Can you give us a chance to take a breather here on the sideline? So it's really easy in those desperation situations off the court or off the field to really kind of to really let things explode. And it really and that's what happened when I was in Detroit. People always talk about, we had a players only meeting. Like, no coaches. We got to meet, we got to, because normally when you have a meeting, the coach calls the meeting.
Right.
It's scheduled, and the coach runs the meeting. And the players say, get out, coaches. We need to take care of business here. My experience with player meetings, not good.
Yeah.
They normally don't work. Like,
Nope.
if you're calling player meetings, it might be too late. I mean, when you should call a player meeting is before the season. There should be this camaraderie, this, let's kind of, because you have to build this trust and confidence in each other. And I think so often as professional athletes, I'm actually going to ask Gordy this. Like so often we become these islands. It's like we're this independent contractor who's been hired to do a job, and we're not necessarily, a part of things. There's always kind of this wall between management, coaches, and players, and building that trust and getting beyond that perception, I think, has a huge impact on a lot of success that you have as an organization, and not not having that and feeling isolated. Man, it's a tough thing to go to, because what happens when you start losing is the coaches go, it's because our players stink. And the players go, we got crappy coaches. And so you get in those bad situations. I've been in a few. They're not fun. I wouldn't recommend them for anyone. But our human nature just kind of, we become the worst versions of ourselves, some people, in those tough situations. And it really requires a lot of leadership and people being together in order to, kind of right the ship and get things together and make sure that, everything is okay. Anyways, I love that concept about desperation, and it's powerful, and it can really compel you to great heights. And you've seen a lot of great players use that desperate. To me, it's not desperation. To me, it's about the difference between playing not to lose and playing to win. And there's a huge difference. There's a chasm about the size of the Grand Canyon between those two mindsets, and it's the just being tentative and don't screw it up, as opposed to just play your guts out and play hard, play with enthusiasm, play with energy, and it takes you play with a lot of desire. It takes you a long way when you get that whole attitude of playing to win. All right, we're going to play to win the rest of this day. That's our goal. We'll take a break right now. But when we come back, we've got none other than Coach Gordy Chiesa. He is in the studio. A lot of awesome, crazy, wild things going on in the NBA playoffs, and we're going to talk about all of that. I believe there's a draft lottery coming up next Monday. That's kind of a big deal. We'll talk about that as well. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. We'll be back in a bit. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today and tomorrow, and we have none other than Coach Gordy Chiesa in the studio with us. I feel like we've become best friends, Gordy. We've been in here quite a few times here. It's been very enjoyable to get your insight and have some wonderful conversations about basketball. But before we get to that, just really quick, this is kind of some historic news as far as the Pope goes. So it's Robert Prevost is the Pope. He's from Chicago. It's the first U.S. American Pope ever elected to the papal see. Anyway, so that's a pretty big deal. And
very much.
Yeah.
And myself being a Roman Catholic, emphasize Roman Catholic, for all of us, it's a huge thing. But this is a sports show, so just quickly though, the Pope is the face of mankind presently, where he's trying to lead people of all faiths and denominations to be more humanitarian.
Yes, I think if we had that mantra, I think we'd be better off as people. And a lot of times, I think we get that through sports. A lot of good things come out of sports. I really believe being in an NFL locker room would solve a lot of problems in the world. There's an interesting dynamic there that a lot of good things happen in an NFL locker room. If our lives were more like that, we'd all be better off.
Well said. And add to that, it sounds so crazy. What Scott's alluding to is that in most locker rooms, because they know that there's a higher being, that there's an element of thankfulness, because you know that you're one play away from being injured, and that one of your best friends suddenly is injured, and that also that you work collectively as a unit. And so there's almost like a quasi-religious experience, especially when you overcome a lot of hurdles and adversity, individually, but also as a group.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Sports can be very spiritual, no question about it. Really quick before we get into all of this, because there was a change, of course, with the Utah Hockey Club. They changed the name to the Mammoth, so now it's the Utah Mammoth. A lot of work went into this in branding and studying and finding the right name for the team. And I'm thinking, so here this team moves from Phoenix to Salt Lake, similar to the Jazz. The Jazz moved from New Orleans, and you think of Jazz in New Orleans, and it fits, right? And they never changed the name when they came to Utah. There was no fan collaboration. There was no rebranding. There was nothing. How much does the name of the team? And I think the Jazz now is synonymous with Utah. I mean, it certainly is for me. It's just like my Utah Jazz. It's a thing. But how much of an impact, or how much do you really care about that as a coach? The name, and what does it mean to the team, and how much do you get out of that the team name with the team and the impact it has?
Huge impact. Where
Okay.
It's a very impactful in the sense where, for the rest of your tenure as a coach or as a player or as a franchise, is that people allude to you as far as us recognizing that this is the Utah Jazz, this is the L.A. Lakers, this is New Orleans Jazz, and so it does matter. And then when you put that uniform on, there should be a sense of pride. And with the better franchises, there always is. Add to that, Scott. So besides the Utah Jazz leaving New Orleans for the 1979-80 season, coming to this place called, what's it called? Salt Lake City?
Right.
Moving to Salt Lake City. Here's the mother, Scott, of all of them. When the Minneapolis Lakers moved in 1960, they moved from Minneapolis, the Twin City, into a place called Los Angeles, where they went from the lakes to what? To Pacific Ocean.
Right.
And they never changed their name ever.
No.
Ever.
No, and there's no lakes in Los Angeles. I mean, there's some tar pits in La Brea.
Yeah.
But there's no lake. In fact, if they have a lake, they take all the water out of it so that they don't have water for fires. I mean, it's and it didn't seem to be a problem, right? It was
no
just
problem
like, I
at
mean,
all.
you think of the Lakers, you think of Los Angeles, and there certainly is that image. Don't you think it has to do with winning though, a little bit? Like if the team wins, and then that name has a totally different meaning.
Very much, yeah. When you have a winning franchise, that the fans and everyone around the organization, there's so much community pride that this is our team.
Yeah.
This is our franchise. Don't be messing with us. And so people take it personal, and they should. And so a lot of times, a national broadcast, Scott, will say in an NFL or an NBA national televised game, and that's the job of the commentators. So I get it. They're doing their job. There'll be much more criticism about a certain team, whether they're winning or losing or praising. But if you're a local affiliate, as far as don't be messing with my team.
Right.
Because they're my guys. Or they're my gals.
So I grew up with the Jazz. I loved the Jazz and just went through the whole kind of metamorphosis, from this struggling franchise all the way through to going to the NBA Finals and really, almost winning. I didn't live in Utah for a good part, and so wherever I lived, usually was an NBA team. So I would always make sure I went to the Jazz game when it was in Miami, Florida, or Detroit, Michigan, or wherever. And I just always associated, and to this day, I'm the biggest Jazz fan in the world and want so badly to get that championship. So it's been fascinating to have that connection to that team and that name.
Remember, without the fans, there's no franchise.
No.
So I'm simplifying it. There's
right.
Without the fans, NBA, NFL teams do not exist, and that all the TV partners know that. And that's why the fans are absolutely important. That's why the sad part about it, Scott, whether it's the 1982 NFL lockout or the 1999 NBA lockout, for the young listeners right now, on ESPN Radio 700, back in 1999, I know it's a long time ago, the Spurs, those guys were good, and so were the Jazz. That was the lockout year, and that the Jazz and the Spurs tied for the best record in basketball, 37-13, only played 50 games. But the Jazz, unfortunately, we lost in the conference semifinals, and that was the first ever Spurs championship in 1999. And so the fans were deprived of X amount of games, with the NFL games also, and baseball. Well, one time baseball, literally, the owners were willing to not have a season because they try to get their contracts under control.
Right.
And that's what happens that's the ugly thing with business. Is an interplay with what actually playing the game.
You bring up the regular season, and now we're into the playoffs, and you watch some of these teams who have been phenomenal during the regular season, have these, best records, top seeds, and you're seeing a lot of the home teams losing, and losing quite a bit. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you today was, what is the impact of the regular season? Like, what is the whole purpose of the regular season? Because it just seems to be such a different game, and people just kind of come out of nowhere and all of a sudden show up big time in the playoffs, where maybe they weren't quite the same team. So it just seems the playoffs are so different than the regular season. I'm curious, does the regular season even matter, or what do you try to get out of the regular season?
No, it does matter. Regular season. There's nothing regular about the NBA postseason. Nothing. Zero. Here's the reason why. Is because in a postseason, it's defined. You're playing the most 7 games against a certain team, and that here's the matchups versus the regular season where you might play that team either 3 or 4 times in the Western Conference or vice versa in Eastern Conference, and when you cross over, you only play with, say, the Boston Celtics twice, once home, once away. And so it's a whole different dynamics involved as far as playing somebody for literally basically 10 days. Second part is this. Most teams play the direct opposite of the playoffs, where they shoot way, way crazy threes and they play really erratic defense. When the playoffs start, it's a direct opposite to the extreme. The shot of choice most times, and again, here's the catchword, most times, especially in the fourth quarter, is what? Take the ball to the basket, get the ball into the paint via dribble drive, via screening action, or via post, post up, mid post, a pound dribble to create a double team, or up and under step throughs, jump hooks. Nice knowing you. All right, so these are all, it's a direct opposite. So the teams that are struggling right now, they're shooting contested threes They really get to the foul line to stop the clock. They get their defense set. And the better teams, though, that are winning right now, they're playing. That's the way they're playing. And that's why they're winning these close games, because they're able to have ball control. Scott, just like in the NFL, the possession, who has ball control of the game, the possession, the rhythm. So much is the rhythm of playing in a playoff game. And by the way, it's always ugly. And the reason why is the defense is fierce. So suddenly, if you have a finesse game, you're getting exposed, your lack of physicality, not defensively, offensively, where you can't score through contact.
Maybe it is. There we go. Sorry. Okay, I turned down the volume. So you talk about this. You feel like you're talking about the Celtics and the Knicks. And so they play last night. That the Celtics are down 2-0. Give us a recap of that game and kind of what you saw and what went on and kind of where that series is right now.
Well, where the series right now, the math is it's a 2-0, and the differential is only 4 points. That's how close it is. Now, the Celts had a love fest the whole year. That also with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Celts win 61-21. Knicks are 51-31 regular season. So far, so good for the Celtics. But don't you get the feeling that Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, and now joining the fray is Karl Anthony Towns, they're more physical than the Celtics, who have a terrific talent level, but they're being punched in the face, even though the games are close. Absolutely. So 1 or 2 plays here that it would change everything. However, the fact of the matter is, all I know is that the defense of the Knickerbockers is slowing down the finesse scoring of the Celtics. Last point about that is that for the first 2 games of the series, the Celts have taken 100 three-point shots, which equals 50 per game. They've only made 25. So the Celtics are shooting 25% from three-point range, including Jaylen Brown, who's an all-NBA performer. He's shooting from three-point range 17.6% overall, 3 for 17. Derek White, who we all like, shooting from three-point range 29.6. Jason Tatum shooting from three-point range 25%, 5 for 20. And Al Horford is shooting right now from three-point range 10%, 1 for 10. So, Scott.
Brutal. Yeah.
And so the Knicks defense is taking it over, even though the talent level of the Celtics is good. Last point is this. It's good to struggle. Yes. In any sport, adversity brings the character out of people. And so the Celts last year, when they were dominant, they had it rolling where they basically had a free run. They had a record last season when they were champions. They were 16-3 overall. So it was like a love fest. Let's keep shooting threes. Let's keep rolling. And this will never end ever in our careers. Oh, by the way, this year, guess what? It could end. If the Celts lose Saturday afternoon at 1:30 in MSG, they'll be down 3-0. There's never been an NBA team in the history of the postseason to ever come in any round a 3-0 deficit. So in their world, Scott, at 1:30,
this is the game.
This is the game. Yeah. This is it. And we always talk about, well, we'll be the first one. I get it. I know. I love your optimism. Yeah. I love it. I think it's great. I'd be the same way if I was with the Celtics. I get it. I understand it. But the fact of the matter is the arithmetic as far as doing it. And this is why this thing called the postseason, there's nothing like it. I had the good fortune, Scott, to coach in 149 playoff games. And every one of them taught me a valuable lesson. The last point about this is that if the Celts do get knocked out, just for the narrative, I know there's still a long way to go. It'll get back to Scott and I talked about it the last few weeks already, that for the last 6 years, and now it'll be 7 years, there will be 7 straight different NBA champions. In 2019, Raptors. In 2020, Lakers in the bubble. In 2021, Bucks. In 2022, Warriors. In 2023, Nuggets. In 2024, Celtics. In 2025, unknown.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know. A lot of people have said, "Oh, it's going to be the Knicks and the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals." I think there certainly would have been a different. And that right now it looks like it's kind of headed that way. So I want to ask you a little bit about this. That the defense of the Knicks is, and I watching, I would agree with you. How does it? Are they chasing? Is it just becoming annoying to the Celtics because they're getting kind of, like I said, knocked in the mouth, and does that impact your ability to shoot the 3-pointer? I mean, these guys, it just seems to me like they still should be able to be shooting a little bit better. But so is it really that defense that's doing it, or are they just kind of in a bad space and just missing a lot of shots?
No, the defense. So the Knickerbockers attempt to most times take a good shot. So the Celtics are not scoring in transition. So your best defense is taking your offense of taking a good shot. You might miss it, but the shot is what? It's a guided shot. So the players know who's crashing the boards, who's running back. We call build a wall on defense. So the Knickerbockers really are doing a smart job offensively. Jalen Brunson, that guy's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
He's in that lane. He's in the lane in the fourth quarter. He is absolutely causing havoc. All right, so the defense starts on offense, and then the Knicks are a smart executing team. Now, the next point about that with the Celtics is that the Knickerbockers defensive players on perimeter, they play as a collective unit. We call that playing on a string. They're running the Celtics shooters off the three-point line and now making it into doubt drivers. So suddenly, hey, I'm a three-point shooter. My feet are set. I'm going to knock this down. Now I'm playing on a speed dribble to the basket. And now they're in the lane now. They're not as comfortable as far as playing it. And the last part about that is that the Knicks play tremendous help-to-helper defense.
So what's the adjustment then for the Celtics? Like if this is what's going on, how do they adjust to this? How and can they come back from being down 0-2?
Okay, the adjustment would be this: is that they set more screens. You see, what happens is that they space the floor. We call it 5 out. So it's all 5 guys out spacing. So that's fine. So far it's good in the possession. But there's no screening action minus a pick and roll. So what you want to do is free up shooters by setting what I can so technical, vertical screens, horizontal screens to get the shooters in rhythm as far as catching the ball and getting their feet set versus have to catch it stationary and drive to the basket. So that I would ask Al Horford. See, what makes Steph Curry so – I know he's hurt right now. He's a different discussion. We'll talk about him later on. But what makes Steph Curry so great is that the world's greatest shooter of all time sets the most screens. See, it's backwards in a great way. So Steph Curry's always like setting screens for his teammate. See, the Celtics never do that. They just space the floor, and they rely on their finesse shooting. But the Knickerbocker defense is too fast. So the adjustment is set more screens and that throw the extra pass to make the Knicks go into a double situation where help to helper. The first help has always been there to their credit, Knicks. Oh, by the way, Knicks are really sound defensively. The way they play, they're well drilled, and that's the byproduct of it. But despite that, 1 or 2 shots went in for the Celtics. They might be up 2-0. We have a different narrative. Yeah. That's the beauty of sports, Scott. One play separates if you're winning or you're losing.
Yeah, I said this on my show, The Down and Dirty, about I think of all the championships we have in sports, the NBA really vets its champion. Like when you win, I mean, you really deserve to win because you're not just playing a team once. You go in the NFL playoffs and it's one and done. It's a series. It's a 7-game series all the way through the playoffs. And so clearly there is luck involved in it, but man, it's a real vetting process of you win a championship and you really deserve to win a championship.
Scott, besides that, as you know well, the physical part is the mental part. So much is the mental part with guys where if you don't shoot well the previous game, you have to clear it out of your head. That the mental is because you're playing the exact same team again. And so you've got to play forward. You cannot play backwards. And that's for the next game. But when you're really a tremendous focus is when during the game, in the present tense, live, you don't shoot backwards, you shoot forward. You don't defend backwards, you defend forward. You don't encourage backwards, you encourage forward. That's why you're able to, if you had a tough stretch of 3 or 4 minutes, you can refocus yourself. Last point about that. Oh, by the way, your teammates should help you, though. See, when you're really a great leader on the court, people always say, well, so-and-so is really a good leader. Really? Says who? Says who? That so-and-so needs a hug right now on the court. So-and-so needs a slap on the butt right now to encourage people. So-and-so needs a pass on time, on target to get yourself going. Last point is this, is that in transition, if a guy's struggling offensively, you almost wait a split cadence for let that guy run down the floor to hit him on a bounce pass to get himself going mentally for a running basket. So the best way to score if you're struggling as a shooter is to score a running basket in transition.
The Nuggets get blown out by OKC in game 2. Of course, that series is tied up now at 1-1. What's your takeaway? Give us kind of a recap of that game last night.
It was a letdown by the Nuggets, but it's irrelevant that the Thunder caught themselves where, again, it's been on for them cruise control. They're a bunch of young guys, and they have a tremendous team. However, it's human nature to take the least path of resistance. I mentioned earlier, a few minutes ago, about adversity is good. It's good adversity because you're alert every time. With the OKC Thunder, they thought that the Nuggets are going to roll and not compete hard. And then, Aaron Gordon made that great shot. I get it. In game 1, the Thunder, to their credit, they just crushed the Nuggets last night. And my takeaway of the game is that's how good that the Thunder can be. They're 10 deep, and they play absolutely serious defense. From a basketball purist standpoint, that'd be fascinating. Just say if would. Really, hey, Gordy, you're tripping right now. You believe that, really? Meaning this, is that imagine if the Thunder played the Knickerbockers in the finals. Both teams are defensive-minded. So here we are, Scott, where it's a love fest offensively, and the two teams that go to the NBA Finals, they're both somewhat defensive-orientated with an element of what? Tremendous one-on-one players that also play defense. I just described Jalen Brunson, just described also Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, all those guys, Jalen Williams, Hartenstein. These guys all play defense in a game, so they have a tremendous team. The Thunder should get out of the West. Should.
Yeah. And you think the Knicks, it sounds like maybe you think the Knicks are the ones to come out of the East then. You like how they're playing right now.
I like how they're playing right now. But the Pacers, those guys, we think Indianapolis, Scott, you and I, we think weekend, about 2 weeks from now, of the Speedway 500, we think about
right,
Indianapolis. Yeah. All right? But guess what? The Pacers have been a proud franchise, very similar to the Jazz. The problem with the Pacers / Utah Jazz, they've been good for literally 40-something years, but unfortunately, not an NBA championship. So in the lexicon of the NBA folklore, really the Pacers they're good. They're all good, and so it'll be a great series if the Pacers do win. They're up 2-0 on the Cavaliers, who's been hurt right now. See, the Cavs are hurt.
Right.
So we shall see.
Yeah. So Tyrese Halliburton, there's a couple of things about him. And this kind of hit me today. This whole idea of his dad kind of being on the sideline, being around, and apparently he's kind of been removed from the sideline. No one's really saying a whole lot. And I was thinking about that. One of the things that I loved in my time playing sports all the way through, growing up. My grandpa was on the sidelines of every one of my games, and I loved that. And my grandpa would call me on the phone, and he'd talk about games, and it'd be in the middle of February, and he'd get the VHS tapes out because that's what you had at the time, and he'd rewatch the games, and he just loved, and I loved that relationship. When I went and played in the NFL, and my parents actually moved to Michigan, and part of that was because, I wanted my parents, my dad, my grandpa had passed away, but to be there and to be a part of it. And there's something about this relationship, and so many players have it with, their parents, their dad, whomever. And I was at first I was like, well, maybe he shouldn't be on the sideline, but then I'm like, I think I want my dad on the sideline. I think I'd want my dad. You think of Michael Jordan and the relationship he had with his dad, or Tiger Woods and some of that. I'm curious, in your time in coaching, did you see that with your players? Did you see some of those father-son relationships, or did you where they had this kind of connection, or they had this kind of inside pass to get in and be a part of the team on some level, in some way, not necessarily where Tyrese Halliburton's dad's on the sideline, but they're close.
Okay, with our group right there, that era, we did not.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's because many of the players were a single-parent
Sure.
home,
Yeah.
and so that usually it was the high school coach, or even us as professional coaches, we would take somewhat of the mantle as far as help guiding these guys. And so it wasn't as prevalent with our group right now. But I could see the point about it. Again, by the way, it's 2025. And so social platforms, media, it means it's a whole different world right now. But with that era, it was not. But you mentioned about Halliburton. What makes him so good right now is he's got a great all-around game. And that's what makes him a tremendous player. He's averaging 20.5 points per game, 8.5 assists, and 6 rebounds, including a whole bunch of game winners.
It seems to me like he's a guy that's really kind of stepping up his game. He seems to be a guy that really wants to be in the spotlight. He talks about the expectation of putting the ball in his hands at the end of the game, and he's delivered. I mean, big time so far in the playoffs.
We forget, remember last year is that they beat the Knicks last year, ironically, in Game 7 on the road when Brunson got hurt. So just say if Wood could, it happens that Knicks play the Pacers for the narrative, and with this discussion point is that both teams played last year in the conference semifinals. And just a reference point, the Celtics crushed the Pacers last year 4-0 in the conference finals. So there's an element of that. The wounds of the playoffs are forever in your mind until what? You win a series against the team that beat you.
Yeah.
It's forever in your mind, ever.
Yep.
It never stops.
No, it's funny how someone just rents space in your mind until you get them out of there. It's just it's so true. All right. Oh man, we're gonna take a break, but we got Steph Curry's injury. We've got awards, Will Hardy's extension, the draft, some previews coming up. A lot here left to talk to Coach Gordy Chiesa with when we return on the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM.
Dort's going to try to do it himself. He missed it. Kept alive by Brown. Gilgeous-Alexander cleans it up on the inside.
All right, there you have it. SGA with a cleanup layup in the 149-106 win over the Denver Nuggets. That's courtesy of TNT Sports. Welcome back to the show. It's the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Proud to be a part of Utah's ESPN radio network. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today and tomorrow. Fun show today, and we're going to continue with our weekly discussion with Coach Gordy Chiesa. A lot of great NBA stuff happening right now. And so I have so many questions for the coach here. But before I get into that, ESPN 792.1 FM Festival of Trees, powered by the Utah Golf Association, brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union. Each day we're giving away free rounds of golf from the best courses in the state and beyond. Listen to the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. That's me from 10 to 11. The Sean O'Connell Show from 11 to 2. And the Drive with Spence Checketts from 2 to 6 for your chance to win. Today we have 9 holes at Forest Dell. We'll give that away in topical trivia around 1:45. So stick around for your chance to win. I mean, all you do is just text in the answer. And we have tough trivia questions here on the show. So, all right, let's get into this real quick. You had, Justin Zanuck, and they were talking about Will Hardy, and and I've even asked you about this. Is Will Hardy, is he safe and secure? And of course, he was given an extension here a few days ago. But Justin Zanuck said, if I had a vote, or I would vote for Will Hardy for Coach of the Year. Now, there's a lot of awards that are going out right now, and the award season is happening, and you have a discussion, I guess, is that the best way to phrase this, about the awards that go out this year in the NBA.
Very much, yeah. So speaking of the Coach of the Year, the 3 candidates that were on the ballot: Kenny Atkinson, J.B. Bickerstaff of the Pistons, Kenny of the Cavs, Ime Udoka of the Rockets. The winner was Kenny Atkinson. So this is all based on regular season now. So preface this, not the playoffs. And so Kenny Atkinson led his team, and now they're the first seed, and they're fighting for their life as we speak right now. But the fact of the matter, he was Coach of the Year. Executive of the Year: Sam Presti of the Thunder, Kobe Altman of the Cavs, and Training Landing of the Pistons. So think about it. The Pistons, Renaissance Coach, Executive of the Year, Kobe Altman, again, Cavs best record in the East, and Sam Presti, the best record in basketball. The winner was Sam Presti.
So with these coaches, GMs, what typically is the criteria? Is it just the best record? Is it a big turnaround? What goes into? Is it just a perception thing? Is it a popularity contest? How do they really determine a Coach of the Year, Executive of the Year?
Performance. Just performance. Yeah, performance. There's no popularity contest because most times you dislike the competition. So hey, he's my guy. He's my guy. No, he's not. I dislike him because why? They're trying to beat you.
Right.
So just generally speaking now. So I'm offering that as a caveat to when you vote.
So did you not like the other coaches?
Oh, absolutely not. I didn't like them. No. I was friendly off season. I emphasize friendly, but I have very few friends because we're all trying to have a common goal, and that's to be the best that our team can be. And again, like the Jazz at that era, when you're a playoff team, you're absolutely dislike the competition.
I'm so glad you said that.
Nothing personal.
Right.
You're not a bad person if you dislike the competition. That means you're trying to win.
Yeah, I felt the same way when I didn't like the guys I played against. I hated them. Like I hated Brett Favre. I hated all of them for that very reason. It wasn't disrespectful. It's just like, look, you're trying to take away my livelihood. Why should I like you? All right, continue.
Next one, Most Improved Player, which is always a fun award because that's when the perception is that this guy was always a good player, but he made this quantum leap into an all-around game, usually points scored, more rebounds, just more assists, and generally feeling that he's a much more value contributor to his team winning. Here was the 3 final candidates. They were Cade Cunningham of the Pistons. Pistons. They turned it around. Ivica Zubac, we love that guy from the Clippers, and Dyson Daniels of the Hawks. The winner was Dyson Daniels of the Hawks, who's absolutely underrated. The Hawks have somebody that's a tremendous defensive player, and his offense has caught up. He's an Aussie. He's an Australian guy, which means that, Scott, he plays with a swagger. Most Aussie guys play with a swagger. Most do. So,
why is that? Is it just a cultural thing?
the culture,
there?
absolutely. It's cultural.
Huh.
And you're saying right now, Gordy, what about Ben Simmons? He's the exception. I get it. I know you're driving right now on I-15. You're saying, Gordy, what about Ben Simmons? I agree. But I didn't say all. I said most. How about Joe Ingles? Joe Ingles, that guy.
Jingle and Joe.
Yeah, that guy, when he played for the Jazz for 8 wonderful years, you get the feeling that he had a swagger. He can make that rainbow through left-handed. He was a jumbo passer, and even though he was slow-footed, he was fast hands. And that's the best way you could be defensively. And that's Dyson Daniels of the Atlanta Hawks. He has both. He has lightning feet and also a quickness hand. So he's the winner of the most improved player. Let's go quickly. Rookie of the year. Okay, Rookie of the year. Let's hope that the Jazz, whoever they draft, hope it's 1, but if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, that guy becomes Rookie of the Year. The 3 final candidates was Zachary Bashashe from the Hawks. Again, see the Hawks, you see Dyson Daniels of the building, Jalen Wells of the Grizzlies, and Stephon Castle of the Spurs. The winner is Stephon Castle of the Spurs, who was the 4th pick of the draft in 2024 from UConn. So that was a good pick by them. Now, clutch player of the year. This is the one where the under 5-minute mark of an NBA game, that the voters thought that these are the 3 people that are deserving, and all of them absolutely. And you can make the discussion that all 3 guys could win this award almost every year. Nikola Jokic of the Nuggets, Anthony Edwards of the T-Wolves, and Jalen Brunson of the Knicks.
Oh.
And the winner is Jalen Brunson of the Knicks.
Wow.
So, clutch player of the year. And speaking of Jalen Brunson Knicks, I want to get this in. This year's postseason, as we speak right now, Jalen Brunson leads the NBA in the most fourth-quarter points with 86 points in seven games, which comes to in 6 games, which comes to 10.9 points per game in the fourth quarter. The second is Jamal Murray, and third is Anthony Edwards. Murray at 46 points, Anthony Edwards at 45. So Brunson was voted regular season. Again, these awards, preface are, again, regular season, was voted the clutch player of the year. He continued it in the playoffs. He knows no calendar. All right, next one. Defensive player of the year. Okay. So all I'm saying is that when they penalize if you're a player on defense on perimeter. So most times the perception is by the voters, and the voters in these categories are the media. The media, the 126 media credential people votes on these people. If the coaches voted, it would be slightly different because we view the world differently than the media does. All right, so here's the 3 guys: Draymond Green, Dyson Daniels of the Hawks, and Evan Mobley of the Cavaliers. The winner is Evan Mobley of the Cavaliers. And again, Cavaliers' best record. How about yesteryear? Rudy Gobert is a 4-time winner. Jazz, Defensive Player of the Year. 2018, 2019 Jazz, 2021 Jazz, 2024 T-Wolves. All right, quickly. 6th Man of the Year. This guy, again, off the bench, give me the ball. I'm dynamo. I can score against anybody in the world. How dare you try to stop me? The 3 candidates are Malik Beasley of the Pistons. Good team.
Yeah.
Ty Jerome of the Cavs. Good team. And Peyton Pritchard of the Celtics. The winner this year is Peyton Pritchard.
Wow.
And here's the last one. And as always, is Scott, this palace intrigue here. They haven't voted. They voted already. Has been announced. The MVP of the league regular season. the three candidates: Giannis of the Bucks, Nikola Jokic of the Nuggets, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Thunder. If you notice, also,
Not a bad list.
Also, you notice all three guys from a foreign country.
Interesting.
What are you talking about? America, the beautiful America. We've invented basketball. Giannis, Greece. Jokic, Serbia, and Shea, Canada. So it's an American game, but those international players, they what? They ball out.
Is that just kind of, I mean, why is that, I guess, is the question.
All around skills. They're taught differently.
Yeah.
You know, as American kids, how they put so much emphasis on athleticism. I agree. You need it, absolutely.
Right.
However, the game is called basketball, not run and jump. See the difference? So I know a lot of guys, Scott, can run and jump, get no rebounds.
Right.
I know a lot of guys that can't jump out of Sunday New York Times, get rebounds. That I just described Jokic. All right? And so the learning point about that, you need all-around skills, plus tenacity, plus what? Intangibles, plus unbelievable instincts as far as a nose for the ball, offensively and defensively. So the European kids, usually speaking, they're trained overall as far as being a basketball player. Yeah, some can jump. Yeah, Giannis can absolutely fly in the air, dunk on your noggin. I get it, steal a ball, but he's an outlier. Most of the guys, what? Play the game on the ground, and that's good also.
You know, it's a lot like football. You get drafted by talent, you know, like athleticism. That's how they measure in the draft. But the guys that tend to really excel and become those great players are the ones that really they have a great football sense. They do those fundamental things. They do those. Every great player I ever played with was tremendous at practice, but it wasn't just practice. It was like practicing perfection, and it's so much more than just, you know, he's fast, he's strong, he's big, he throw the ball a million miles. It's, you know, can he play, and can he you know, be real effective and do his job. So interesting. I have a question, maybe really obvious here. Steph Curry's out for a week. Does Golden State survive this, or how do they survive this, or what does it mean that he's not playing?
They survive this.
Oh,
yeah, they do. They survive this. Without Steph Curry in the postseason over the years, the Warriors are 9-3. Without him.
Oh,
yeah. So they used.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So even though he is absolutely the main focal point of those 4 championships and the everything else goes around Golden State, they can win short term without him, not long term. So Scott's alluding to, he has a left hamstring strain. It's the first muscle strain in his 16-year NBA career. It's unbelievable. And what happened in Game 6 and that knockout game in Houston, Steph Curry, they have the metrics on his body with the dynamics, is that he ran the most ever in one game in his career, in a game against the Rockets, the knockout game. And so let's fast forward it. One game later, he only lasted 13 minutes in Game 1, where he had the strain. And so this shows you the amount of energy that he in Game 6 against the Rockets, when the Warriors won on the road, how it knocked them out. And Game 7, excuse me, had it knocked him out. As far as that's what happened. So now he's hurt. So now he'll miss Game 2, he'll miss Game 3, and Game 4. They're saying he's out for roughly a week or so. That could change though. So Game 5 is on Monday, May 14th, and so they think he'll be back by then. And if they didn't have Jimmy Butler, I would say that they would be very hard. However, Buddy Hield, that guy was resurrected from the lack of a better word, the dead. So he struggled during the regular season, and Buddy Hield has played absolutely spectacular and has shot incredibly well. He gets 24 points. He goes 5 for 8 in Game 1. In Game 1 versus the T-Wolves. See, the T-Wolves thought that the Warriors, they were going to not play hard after they thought might have a letdown after beating the Rockets. And guess what? The Warriors, they're a veteran team. They know what it takes. So I'm looking to see tonight, Game 2. Can Anthony Edwards and those guys, who they have a good team, can they now rally and punch the Warriors in the face and get the series 1-1?
So it looks like Jimmy Butler was a pretty good trade for Golden State. Was that the best trade, or are there other trades that are panning out better in the playoffs?
It's the best trade. Even though long-term, Luka for Anthony Davis is the better one for the Lakers of 3 to 5 years. But in the immediate short term, Jimmy Butler has a winning game. The way he plays, he's versatile. He can score 20. He can get 11 rebounds in traffic with guys hanging on him. He's always trying to steal the ball, and just generally speaking, he knows how to play with the ball and without the ball. So he's the perfect fit for the Warriors, when the Warriors play, they invert their offense, where Draymond often is on top of the circle as the facilitator, and Butler and Steph Curry and Brzezinski are coming off a screening action, and they all play as a cohesive unit. And that Butler doesn't really care if he scores, the way his mentality. So, but when he does score, it's really impactful. So that was the best trade that will help a playoff team as far as the immediate future.
So we talk about Steph Curry. He's injured. Of course, the Cavs have the best record in the NBA this year. They're down 0-2 now, and of course, injuries have played a big part in that. Do they survive this? Can they survive the injuries? Are they going to get guys back? Is Donovan Mitchell going to be enough, or do they have enough to come back in the series and win it, or at least make it competitive?
Not enough. They're down 2-0, and they lost both games at home. In Indiana, it's very similar to the Delta Center. They have a whole bunch of pride in that building. And so that place will be absolutely rocking tomorrow night when they play Game 3. The game's at 5:30 tomorrow night, Friday, meeting on ESPN. So Donovan Mitchell, who we all love and respect, is that he's averaging 40.5 points per game, 6.5 assists, and 5 rebounds. And so they need more from his sidekicks. Donovan right now is panicking, though. And see, what happens is no Darius Garland. He's out. He's missed the last 3 playoff games, and he's really a good player. And their backcourt is real. When he's there, Donovan Mitchell doesn't have to shoot all the time. The way he's played out, he does now. Garland has a sprained left big toe, which sounds, what are you talking about? My toe hurts also right now, not when you're a player. When that big toe hurts right now, that's your toe where you try to plant your foot to shoot the ball. Evan Mobley's out with a sprained left ankle. Mentioned 4, Defensive Player of the Year, and DeAndre Hunter with a right dislocated thumb, which is a shooting hand. And so they're absolutely undermanned. Now, don't feel sorry for them. I get it. All I'm making a point about it, they're undermanned. Donovan Mitchell is trying to hold the fort down by himself. He just can't do it. Donovan's shooting from three-point range in the first 2 games of this series, 11%, 2 for 18. So they're coming at him with all defensive players, and he's trying to dribble by them, and he is scoring the ball, but he's not as efficient.
All right, so we will not talk again until after the lottery. And I was reading an article on ESPN, and it talked about the Utah Jazz's odds, right? We know that, it's 14% to get the number 1 pick, but it's over 50% to land a top 4 pick. And they listed these 4 players as the potential landing spots for the Jazz. So Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, and Ace Bailey, and VJ Edgecombe. So those are what they said are the top 4. You have to believe that's highly likely the Jazz will get at least a top 4 pick. I mean, they're only 5 is the worst they could go, but there's a strong possibility. Do you like these players? How do they fit with the Jazz? Where can Jazz fans feel like they win getting any one of these top players?
I like Cooper Flagg the most of all of them by far, with a tremendous all-around game. Second would be Dylan Harper, who's Ron Harper is his son, who's a southpaw. He's a combination guard. He's very good. And so his agent's Bill Duffy, And so, which would be he's a very Bill Duffy. And me as an agent, just talk about him. He's really pretty normal with as far as being an agent.
Yeah.
So it's going to be it's going to be a much easier transition for the Jazz to with Dylan Harper's progression. VJ Edgecombe is absolutely a scorer. He's from Bahamas, and Scott. So is Buddy Hield.
Wow.
Yeah, so is Buddy Hield. So let's hope that VJ Edgecombe can shoot someday like Buddy Hield. Then Ace Bailey out of Atlanta, Georgia, is like a small forward, like bouncy, athletic. Let me dunk on your noggin type of guy, and he's good. He's a small forward. So all four of those guys can play well in the NBA. Who can play earlier? Who can be a franchise difference maker? Lastly, there's always surprises, not in the first 4 or 5 or 6, but there's always surprises in the draft. We mentioned before about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, where was he drafted? Jimmy Butler. Oh, by the way, he's drafted number 30, the last guy in the first round. Nikolai Jokic, that guy was picked number 41 in the second round in 2014. So don't be wigging out totally all the time if your favorite college player doesn't get picked by the Jazz, because later on in the first round, a bunch of other players.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy where there's still some luck involved. You know, you just got to pick the right people, pick people wisely. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens. I don't know. For whatever reason, I just really hope the Jazz get that number 1 pick. And I know, and there's, they got a good shot at it, as good a shot as they've ever had. So we'll see. All right, you've got a list for us. And this is a compelling list today.
Yes, this list today is career total assist leaders in the NBA playoffs. So career total assist leaders. I cut it out at 10. It's who's who in basketball. The 10 guys, 9 are either in the Hall of Fame or will be when they're retired. Only one guy will not be in the Hall of Fame. Number 10 all time, Steve Nash, 1,061 career playoff assists. Number 9, Larry Bird, all time, 1,062 dimes. Number 8, the only southpaw, like Scott Mitchell's a southpaw, in case your Scott fans are wondering about Scott's ability to throw the football left-handed, James Harden with 1,125. Wow. Number 7, Rajon Rondo, 1,136, will not be in the Hall of Fame, unfortunately. Number 6, that Frenchman that Scott, I worked out twice on the court back in 2001, and for some bizarre reason, the powers that be didn't draft him, Tony Parker. 6th all time.
Sound like you wanted to draft him.
Yes, I did. 1,143. Number 5, Chris Paul, all time, 1,233, heading to Hall of Fame. Number 4, he's the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks as we speak right now, Jason Kidd, 1,263. Number 3, I had the pleasure to coach for 16 years. We all love him. This guy could pass like nobody could, besides making shots, et cetera, et cetera. You fill the blanks in as far as the adjectives. John Stockton, 1,839. He averaged 10.1 assists in the playoffs.
Wow.
Number 2, he plays for the Lakers. He got knocked out in the first round. LeBron James, all time, 2,095, and the number 1 leader in the most ever career dimes in NBA playoff history. He did it with a smile. He played for the Lakers. He was a 5-time champion. He made his teammates better all the time. Magic Johnson with 2,346 assists, which comes to average 12.3 assists per game as far as in the playoffs. Quickly, one more note. How about, besides John Stockton, how about in Jazz basketball? Darren Williams is ranked 42nd of all time in career playoff assists with 630, where he averaged 7 assists per game. And D. Will in playoff games was really good.
Yeah. That's a fascinating list. And I wouldn't have thought LeBron for some reason. You think of him as a scorer. You don't necessarily think of him as in another way. So fascinating. Great list. Love it. All right, Gordy. That's it for today, unless you have anything else you want to share with me. But really enjoy this time, as I always do, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Peace out. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. Coach Gordy Chiesa joining us here for an hour. Great stuff. Of course, the NBA playoffs just continue to get hotter and hotter, and you will catch a lot of those games here on ESPN 700. We're going to take a break. So much more when we return to the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.
It's Tatum. Robinson's out. Tatum maneuvering. knocked away. Another great defensive play for the Knicks. They've got it. They've won it. New York has gone up 2-0.
All right, there you have it. A highlight from the Knicks and the Celtics. Mikal Bridges with a block on Jason Tatum to give the Knicks a 91-90 win, courtesy of TNT Sports. Big win for the Knicks, no question about that. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM, Utah's #1 sports talk. I'm Scott Mitchell. I'm filling in for Sean while he is away. And I've been doing it a little bit, so we appreciate you tuning into the show, and we appreciate being here. I love being here. I love doing this. It's so fun. I really enjoy spending an hour with Coach Gordy and talking a lot about the NBA. It's kind of fun, and I appreciate his patience with me and kind of relating it to football, right? And so he's like, it's kind of like football. It's kind of like and it is, and it's fun to have those different conversations where we kind of have a back and forth about, because there is a lot of stuff that's interrelated between the sports. We were talking during the break, and I just said, I love the NBA playoffs, and it's so much about how you mentally handle all of the situations that you have been put in the ebb and flow of the momentum of games, of series, of all of these things, and just that to me is what's so fascinating and so fun. So I like it. I like it a lot. I'm gonna just get this out of the way right now before we get going. Live Night Events presents the 2025 Granary Live Concert Series, powered by Nightingale College and Murdoch Hyundai, Utah's #1 Hyundai dealer. Experience outdoor concerts in the heart. Excuse me, Martin. In the heart of downtown Salt Lake, Granary District. Details on ESPN700sports.com. Okay. Of course, we've had some interesting developments here. World news that's happened here. Of course, there's been a new pope who has been elected. White smoke came out of the conclave, not expected. But the new pope is an American from Chicago. Robert Prevost is the guy. He's from Chicago, which is where Martin, my producer, is from. So fascinating news. I don't know. I of course I remember popes being elected and growing up, and for some reason it's always such a fascinating event to watch and to kind of see happen, and the excitement of people who are of the Catholic faith, and I think a lot of Christian people around the world. I've been to the Sistine Chapel, Martin. I don't know if you knew that or not.
That is pretty incredible. I do want to take a trip one day.
You should do it. It was quite you have to get in line really early. So I was part of this little flexible tour, and our tour guide's a little Italian woman, and she's like, we are on the bus at 7:00 in the morning. We were in the line by 7:15 because you want to be the first people. You go through the Vatican museums, which are fascinating, and then they tell you about the Sistine Chapel, which is where the Michelangelo's famous painting is on the ceiling, and so you understand, because it's really high in the ceiling. It's hard to really look at because you have to kind of bend your neck back to really see the whole thing. So they explain a lot of it, and it's a fascinating history.
What, they don't have any lawn chairs laying around?
Well, no. The reason they don't have lawn chairs laying around is because you're packed in like sardines.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's like it's shoulder to shoulder with as many people as they can possibly squeeze into the Sistine Chapel, and on top of it, they have someone who announces about every 5 minutes. They go, "Shh, this is a sacred place, no talking," and they'll do it in 8 languages. So the announcement goes on for about 5 minutes, and every time he goes, "Shh," and he'll say it in English, and then he goes, shh, says in Japanese, and it goes on. And I'm like, I'm trying to have a religious moment here, and you're killing the quietness of it. So very cool, actually, Sistine Chapel. The whole thing is fascinating. The Vatican, the St. Peter's Basilica. My favorite part, though, speaking of popes, was the basement. That's where they bury all the popes. So the one pope I guess I relate to is Pope John Paul. He's the guy that, I don't know, just kind of. So it'll be fun to see this new pope from America. I mean, this is, wow, this is quite a deal. Quite a deal happened with George Pickens, who was traded yesterday to the Dallas Cowboys, and you kind of scratch your head about this for a lot of reasons. One is, why do you get rid of good players? It's like Luka leaving for Los Angeles or other players through time. I mean, DK Metcalf apparently forced a trade to get out of Seattle because he wanted to be to a contender, and a team he thought was a contender can't seem to get a quarterback, or at least a top-tier quarterback. And then they also can't seem to get, talent. I mean, to get rid of George Pickens, who's a real talent at wide receiver. And then you look at kind of what happened in Seattle. They might have turned a corner. We'll see what Sam Darnold does, but they got Cooper Kupp and some other guys. So they're kind of making a move there as well.
Not to mention Pittsburgh cut Najee Harris, who they drafted first overall.
Yeah,
in the first round.
Right. Yeah. So you're just kind of like, what's going on in Pittsburgh? Blitzburg. I don't know. I really don't know. But here's the fascinating thing. And Martin asked me this question. He goes, what does it do to Dallas? And I'm just telling you right now, like, we had this discussion about dogwood trees, that talent just doesn't grow in the dogwood trees in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Like, you got to earn that. You got to find that. And when you have it, nurture it, keep it. And I understand, look, wide receivers, they're divas. I get that. We should all know by now. Wow, I just sneezed. I'm allergic to wide receivers. No, I'm not. It's kind of funny. It's like wide receivers are a quarterback's best friend until you don't throw them the ball. Then they hate your guts. And it's like, well, were you really my friend? Or were you just my friend because you wanted me to throw you the ball? Anyways, I just does it make Dallas a better team? Heck yeah. When you can have multi-talented players on the team, the secret though, there's two secrets to this. Because I was in Detroit and this is what I had. I had Erman Moore, who was a perennial All-Pro player, really good. I had Brett Perriman, who was maybe one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. He was amazingly good. Had incredible hands, incredibly strong. And then I had a guy, Johnny Morton, who we drafted in the first round, and he was our third receiver. He caught 75 passes. Our tight end was a Pro Bowl tight end, and our running back was a guy named Barry Sanders. Yeah, so we were pretty freaking good offensively. The problem was we couldn't get along.
Selfish?
Everyone wanted the football.
Oh.
Now, I tried. I really tried. And I was the guy who I didn't want it. I wanted to give it away.
Right.
I wanted to give it to the wide receivers. I was the giver of gifts. I wanted to hand it off to Barry Sanders. Who would not want to do that? I certainly did. These guys were incredible. But the guys couldn't accept or handle the whole concept of kind of the power of the team, and that we're so much more together. So when you say, well, just getting talent doesn't make your team better, it should, and in a lot of places it does, but the talent really has to get along. Sterling Sharp was with Brett Favre when he was in Green Bay. And Sterling was a phenomenal receiver. I believe he just got inducted into the Hall. Did he get inducted?
Yes,
in the Hall?
He did.
which says a lot about what people thought about his ability, because he had a very short career, but he was really good. And Favre kind of fell in love with Sterling Sharp early on in his career. He was like his safety blanket. And a lot of people complained because it's like, I don't get the ball. And they say that the team got better. Brett Favre got better when he kind of spread the ball around to more people, which I think typically happens when you have multi-talented guys. So as long as they can live with the fact that they're not going to get every single pass thrown to them, and you'll see guys like that complain, they get out. You think of Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl a couple of years where he freaks out on the sidelines and is telling the coach to throw him the ball, right? And that's the argument I think people are having with George Pickens, that he was demonstrative. And I think it's said best to me, I would rather have a guy who wants the football and complains that he's not getting it than a guy that just sits there and says, yeah, I'm okay. You throw it to me, fine. If not, oh well. I want a competitor. I want a fighter. I want someone who believes in their abilities. I want someone who says, when the game is on the line, throw me the freaking ball, because you can count on that guy. So it's a double-edged sword, because you're on one side, you're like, you need to kind of work within the framework of the team. On the other side of it, you need to you need that ability. You need to be a little bit like, I want to be the guy. And if you're a team that can develop like mismatches because you have talent, it usually works extremely well. And that's the part that actually, we'll do that in the next segment. We'll do the leaderboard in the next segment. So the thing that happens, it's a coach. A coach has to handle this well. And I think if a coach actually goes and says, look, listen, Linda, listen to me. A coach will get players involved early in the game. And some guys will complain about that. It's like, man, you throw me a ball early in the game, and then you don't come back to me till the fourth quarter. I mean, some guys just complain about everything. Will George Pickens actually make Dallas better? I hope so, and he should. And if they play it right and they do it right, yeah, absolutely, he'll be the guy. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got a lot. I think we have an update from the PGA Tour leaderboard, but and so much more. And around the corner, we're going to talk a little bit of hockey, as well as we're going to buy and sell a few things. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Proud to be Utah's, part of Utah's ESPN network and Utah's #1 sports talk. I'm not Sean. I'm Scott Mitchell. I am your host today. I hope you are having a good time. We are. Found out that we have a new pope. And the pope was elected rather quickly on the second round of voting. And he's Pope Leo the 14th? Is that right, Martin?
I believe so, yeah.
Leo the 14th. So fascinating. I'd be curious how they make those decisions about the name. Is it doesn't the Pope decide that? Do they go, I want to be called or I will be called?
Yeah, it's up to the Pope. He kind of calls it in that conclave of like, what do you want to be called?
I wonder if that's part of the election process. Look, if you vote for me, I will be called Leo. And they're like, yes, we love Leo. You're our man. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Just wait until there's an Irish Pope. Someone's going to be like, hey, do you want to be called Pope O'Malley?
O'Malley. Patrick O'Malley. I don't know. It's a good question. Hey, our PGA Tour leaderboard update. The Trace Championship brought to you by Uinta Golf. Uinta Golf is your home for the best Mother's Day gifts this year. 20% off on 4 all apparel. Starter sets over $299 are 15% off. And swing by the shoe wall to get an additional 20% off all green tag women's shoes. You have an update for us, Martin?
Yeah, I do.
Right,
We're gonna
knock it out of the park.
Let's do this. The Truist Championship, first round so far, as we're still in the round of 1. Dennis McCarthy leads the way. He's tied with 1 with Ricky Fowler. They're at -6 so far on the day. Sam Stevens, he's at number 3, tied with Josh Highsmith, who was in the Masters. They are tied with Harris English at -5 on the day. There's about a 6-way tie for third JT Poston, Morikawa, and Bahita are all in the competition for top 3. And then looking down this board here, our good man Tony Finau is at -3 on the day. He's tied with 18th down there. Rory McIlroy, who came in as projected number 1, is tied with 18th as well. He's at -3. He's on 9. So far, no one has completed the course. McCarthy and Fowler. McCarthy's at 13 and Fowler's at 11. So far, everyone's still playing a full 18 rounds.
Thank you so much, Martin. The most important thing about Thursday is not to lose the tournament. You don't want to play play yourself out of the tournament early in it, right? There's moving day. There's today. Today is don't lose the tournament today.
Yeah, today's momentum day.
Just keep it in there.
Yeah.
Nice, easy 3/4 tempo swings. Have fairways and greens. That's all you want. Fairways and greens. Fairways and greens. Make a few putts. You know, I've been watching this television in here. It's kind of a weird setup in this studio. So there's a desk, and there's all these things, a microphone, you have a headset, and then there's a television monitor plastered to the wall. And, of course, it shows ESPN because we're ESPN. So we're watching the mother station and all the mother station people. In fact, one guy, Damian Woody, I was a contestant with on a reality TV show. Damian's a great guy. It's fun to watch and listen to him, and he's pretty insightful. He's a good dude. But they keep showing these scenarios of all these players going to mini camps. So they're showing up for the first time, and oh man, does it just bring back old memories of that first day and how much you were just so clueless. And what happens, like, when you go to your first mini camp? Like, you are just starstruck. You are just like, oh, my goodness, I can't believe I'm here. It's an out-of-body experience. It's a little odd. You don't know anything. You don't know any of the plays. And it's hard because your whole life you've gone to practice and you know the plays. This is just your first day at school and you don't know anything. And I think they like it that way. I think they like to just shock the heck out of you and surprise you. Now, after you get acclimated and you go through your first year, you're like, oh, I got all this. But that first time you go to minicamp is horrible. Now, what happens year 2 and 3 and all the way to 12 and 15 and however many years you play, you don't want to go to minicamp. Like, right after the draft, you're like, I want to go. I want to do stuff that's really important for me to get ready for the season. Like the season becomes more important. Now there are some of these mini camps. They're just like introductions, introducing the new players to the older players and stuff like that. And there's some value. Don't get me wrong, but you're not living your whole existence on a 3-day mini camp in April. A lot of veteran players try to get out of it, and there's OTAs. This is a different era now than it used to be, but the OTAs, that was really something that the good teams actually get a lot of value out of those, and there's a lot of good work in it. But just kind of it's a little bit of a promotional moment. These post, it's just it's not the nitty gritty, dirty details of everything. It's just an introduction. And it's so different between a rookie and a veteran. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got our guy. Who's our guy? Where is our guy? I can't find it. There we go. Robin Liano, host of Locked On Utah Hockey Club. Oh, he's going to have to change his name now, Martin. Anyway, he's going to join us to talk about the Mammoth and so much more. A lot of exciting stuff going on with NHL hockey here in Salt Lake City. You're going to hear about it on the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM.
Duchesne, nice job. Sends it across. Ranton in front. Score! Ranton in again. It's a hat trick in Winnipeg.
All right, there's your highlight from the Stanley Cup playoff game. Mikko Rantanen with his hat trick goal versus Winnipeg in the second period last night. Second hat trick of the playoffs. We've determined that a hat trick is they throw a hat after three. I don't know. Anyways, 3 goals.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's not something that usually happens.
So I even dug a little more digging before we get to our guest. I apologize.
Okay. No, don't apologize.
So someone responded to the group text messages, and it said apparently a hat trick comes from cricket because someone would get 3 wickets, and that's apparently a score. So that's a hat trick. So if you get 3 of those, that's a hat trick. So it came from cricket.
Of course. Everything evolves from cricket. By the way, this is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Proud to be part of Utah's ESPN radio network. You can listen to us on the radio and a whole bunch of other places. You can go to ESPN700sports.com on the live listen tab, also on ESPN 700 app. You can tell your smart speaker to play ESPN 700. And, of course, we're on YouTube at ESPN 700 Sports Utah. Joining us right now is Robin Leano. She is the host of Locked On Utah Hockey Club. Robin, welcome to the show. And I have to imagine are you going to change the name of your podcast?
Absolutely. I actually, just finishing up just a little bit ago, I reached out to our managers over at the Locked On Network, and they are updating it to Locked On Mammoth as we speak. Oh,
that's very exciting. So this whole branding thing, tell me your kind of take on this, the process that the Mammoth have gone through to come up with this name. What does it mean? What does it mean now? What does it mean moving forward? What's your take on all of this this new branding and new name of the hockey club?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, obviously, when we first knew that this team was coming to Utah, and all the names was coming into, as the options, but we were talking like, around a year ago at this point, and there was so much going on, and I feel like all of this was happening behind the scenes, finding what the decision was going to be made. I know a lot of people were disappointed, months ago when Yeti was like, okay, we can't do that because of copyright, because of that. But it seemed pretty clear from just about every aspect that Mammoth was going to be their next choice. Even with the leak that happened just last week on their YouTube channel, and you know what? I will say I'm glad they made this decision. I'm glad that they did it as soon as they could. The draft's coming up and everything. Now all the fans have an identity to attach to. They can all claim to be Mammoth fans. Not that they weren't claiming for Utah Hockey Club, but everyone knew it was temporary. They wanted something permanent. They wanted something they knew they could look for the future for.
Yeah, it's been an interesting evolution for me as well. I'm a huge hockey fan and really excited about the Utah Mammoth and what that all is and has been so far, and the future just looks really exciting and bright for the team. But I was kind of I had to work through kind of this Mammoth work, and it seemed like Ryan and Ashley Smith went to great lengths to kind of vet this out and get the right name and get something that really made sense. I didn't realize how prolific Mammoth were in the state of Utah. I had no idea that they even existed. Excuse me one second. I'm getting emotional today, and I keep coughing. I don't know what it is. Sorry. So at first I was like, I'm not too sure about it, but it's kind of grown on me. And part of what's grown on me about it is been, my goodness, Martin, has been the I like the logo. What's your thought about not just the name but the actual logo?
I love the logo. The moment I saw it come out, it has all the aspects that I kind of was hoping to see. First of all, I'm glad they kept the logo, but they kept the color scheme, but they didn't go too much with the blue. They kind of kept it, where it should be, and having having that mammoth with kind of like with that Wasatch Mountains kind of shown in the backdrop, the Easter eggs of the Utah State outlined on the ear. I think they're putting as much as you can into one without overdoing it. I've seen situations where a sports team tries to cram so much into one logo and it just looks like chaos, and they didn't do that here. They made it look really good.
Yeah, I agree. And because I was thinking, when I think of Mammoth, I think of Ray Romano and Ice Age, right? And so that's my image. And to see this as, I really like it. Okay, how much impact does a logo actually have? I mean, is it just so, hey, look, we want to do something that the fans will actually go buy merchandise for, or what do you think? What's the value of having this logo and this mascot?
Yes. The merchandise aspect, on the team side, that's certainly one of the biggest things. But I think on the fan side, it goes to kind of how I was saying earlier. Now these fans have an identity to attach to. These fans are probably going to, now they're going to come up with a name for their fan base. They're going to have other ways all around Delta Center to be able to embrace this identity and just come up with ways to be a part of the franchise.
You talked about some exciting things coming in the draft, and that Utah has the 4th pick in the draft, which was a monumental win, right? I mean, they could only move up 10 spots in the draft, and they did. What's the significance of the Utah Mammoth picking 4th in the draft?
Yeah, well, first of all, you kind of said it. It's moving up 10 spots from 14 to 4 is, it's almost unheard of. It's funny. I was talking with my co-host Tom Callahan, and we were like, "Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. They're probably not going to move up. It's
right.
Like it's a 1.5% chance. Nothing's going to happen." But it did, and I think it shocked everybody. It even shocked Bill Armstrong, and he said, "It's like, just a minute ago we were picking 14th, and now we're 4.
Wow.
We all of a sudden now their big board changed. Now they have to take a look at everything else and be a part of those top 5 prospects or the top number of prospects in what should be a pretty strong draft this year."
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So those prospects in the top 4 picks, what can we expect? What does it look like? And when can that impact, I guess, be felt of a new drafted player?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I'll say what a lot of people are going to be seeing this year is this is going to be a very heavy draft on centers. So you're going to see a lot of forwards, a lot of centers be drafted. Utah, we're going to see Bill Armstrong definitely focus on his big men. He loves his guys over 6'3", with over 200 pounds on them. He just likes those big physical guys. But these are the kind of players, and it's different in the NHL draft from what you see in other sports. In many cases, and very rare cases in the NHL, but many cases what you see these players make an impact right away. They kind of jump in and they are a roster player right away. Most of the time in the NHL later on, what we see is they go back to juniors or Europe or wherever they got drafted from, spend a little bit of time there, and then they come to the NHL about in a 2 years time when they're ready to kind of make it in.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying that it's a little bit of time before you're going to see the fruits of whatever this draft pick is. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look a couple of years ago with Logan Cooley. He did come in right away, almost right away. He spent 1 year with University of Minnesota. Then he signed his contract with, of course, the then Arizona Coyotes, and made his impact. That was a 1 year. That was obviously a lot quicker. We're seeing some others happen a little bit later. Dylan Guenther kind of spent time between juniors, a little bit time in Tucson, coming to Arizona. It happened all over, and it happens over time with some of these better impact players. And very rarely do you see the ones that happen right away, like
right.
The last couple of years, like your Connor Bedard, your Macklin Celebrinis. Those are unique situations.
So the team feels really good about this pick, kind of where they are. You know, they're a team that's kind of competing to get into the playoffs. What would have to happen this summer, and what is maybe the strategy for the Mammoth to make that move? Is there free agency that can they entice someone? Can they get someone to come to Utah? I know that's an issue like with basketball, but what kind of moves can they make? What can they do to improve the roster and have an impact going into next season?
Well, I think Utah is in a quite an amazing situation, to be honest, going into this offseason. Free agency, I think, is going to be their biggest, one of their biggest challenges, and seeing what kind of players are going to come in, because this is going to be the first test for Bill Armstrong. I do think there will be players who do want to come, but at what level is there going to be some level of convincing and on all those? I mean, everyone's asking about Mitch Marner, for example, coming from coming from Toronto, but you know, how much of an aspect are you willing to do? And it always falls on Bill Armstrong in a very unique situation. I think a lot of people kind of really don't take a look at this, because some just want to go buy in and do that. Bill Armstrong, what he does is he really assesses the situation and knows whether or not it's the value and it fits the timeline. He's not going to go after a guy like Mitch Marner if Mitch Marner wants like $15 million like for 7 years and it doesn't fit the timeline. He knows what he needs to do and make those kinds of picks. But it's this year's different because he knows they're on the verge. He's going to make some bigger risks, and I think that's what's going to put a bigger microscope under his moves this season.
Yeah, I just realized something when you mentioned Toronto and coming to Utah. I think the NHL hit a home run with its All-Star game with the Four Nations event. I thought it was just wonderful and compelling and very watchable, and hope to see more of that moving forward. Relationships between Canada and the United States, from maybe a political and economic. The perception right now isn't really. There's not a lot of love, I guess, between the two countries, and of course, hockey is played significantly in intertwined between the United States and Canada. Well, is there an impact? What kind of impact is there between the two countries right now as it plays out with hockey?
I mean, I feel like in the competitive level, I mean, we're like it's been that's been around for such a long time. I mean, we're going to continue to see that kind of aspect with the fans. I mean, we'll see that happen all the time, but I think we'll still see a lot with how some of these players come down, either going across either side of the border. It's really hard to say. I mean, this is going to be a kind of like a summer of unprecedented. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I just hope we all get along. That's all. And I like the competitiveness. I think it's awesome. I mean, that's what I think the Four Nations did, is it created that national pride, and people are like, I got to play for my country and I got to, show up. And so you got a really great effort with the team. So hopefully we see more of that moving forward. The Delta Center is going through some modifications. Talk to some basketball people about what the impact of is that, and they're trying to get it where it fits for both hockey and basketball. But I'm curious, how significant is it for the hockey team? Does it help? Does it have an impact on the play on the ice? And is there any value in it, or what's the impact of the arena modification for the Mammoth?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, and I think it's really cool what they say they're doing here is, being able to adjust the floor just a couple of feet. That allows for really just more fans to be able to view. In the last season, what we had was the upper ends and the upper bowl, behind the nets. They were called single goal seats for a reason, because you can only see one goal. Just moving the floor just by that extra couple of feet, now you're getting just about everyone to be able to see the ice. It's going to have more full visibility. To really expand the seating, I believe it's from like 10,000 unrestricted seats to now 17,000 able to pack the arena, and that's a significant change. And I feel like you'll be able to hear that. That's for sure.
Yeah. The commissioner was in Salt Lake and hinted about the possibility of an outdoor game maybe next year in Salt Lake. There's only 2 clubs that haven't had it. That's here in Salt Lake and in Florida. What's the likelihood of an outdoor game?
I think it's pretty high. I feel like you just got to take a look at there's a lot of things that goes into it. I think Utah can put in a situation where they make money worth it, make it a whole weekend out of it. And they can tell the NHL, like, okay, we're going to have a good game here between, let's say it's honestly what I think would be really cool between the Utah Mammoth and the Nashville Predators as a battle of the Ice Age. But you also maybe bring in some other teams as well. The AHL, for example, has had a history of having a outdoor classic as well. You can have that, kind of lump it into the same weekend and have, let's say, or even at the ECHL level, maybe the Utah Grizzlies can have can be a part of the whole festivities. Really promote the sport out there and kind of bring it out there in the community.
What is it that makes outdoor games so popular? I mean, why is it just because it's different? I mean, what is it? Is it going back to the roots? Like, hey, we're going to just play on the frozen pond, in the neighborhood. What makes outdoor games so special?
You kind of said it. That is one aspect. There is the novelty of playing outside, like you're playing pond hockey, like a lot of these NHL kids grew up playing. But 2 is, in many situations, you can put it outside. Put it outside. Put so much more fans in there. But 2, you have the backdrop, right? With Utah, it's a good situation because you can. You can put it, right there with the backdrop of the Wasatch Mountains in the stadium. As you've seen, NHL teams have done in other aspects, and I think so you had one in St. Louis at Busch Stadium where you had the you had the Gateway Arch in the backdrop, and there's these backdrops you can put that just really puts a novelty. It's like you're watching hockey, but seeing all this outside. It's a really novelty experience.
I think it sounds amazing. I would hope they do it, and certainly see no reason why they couldn't here in Utah, especially with the Winter Olympics coming up. And I'm still trying to figure out Florida, like where and how do you have a hockey game in Florida? It just seems like it would be a little too warm. I lived in Florida for 14 years. I'm like, I don't know how you do it.
You make a good point about that. I mean, the NHL, if you remember, a few years ago, they had an outdoor game, and it wasn't even in a warm place, but it was in a sunny place. They put it out in Lake Tahoe, on the Nevada side of Lake Tahoe, and it was so sunny that the ice actually started to melt a little bit, they had to actually postpone the game and resurface the ice and fix everything before getting back out there. It didn't go as well as they planned, but I'm sure they've learned from their mistakes, and maybe they're finding ways to keep the ice cold. I don't know. But it has happened before where there has been some hiccups going into those outdoor games.
Oh, well, the NHL playoffs is in full swing right now. Any thoughts about what's going on in the playoffs? Anything surprise you? What's really stood out to you so far?
I just really love some of the storylines of where some of these players have gone. I mean, Winnipeg barely getting by the skin of their teeth over the Blues in the first round. But honestly, I will tell you right now, I was really surprised by the Dallas Stars and how well they've been able to handle this postseason. I mean, they're missing some key players, but they were able to handle Dallas in 7 games, and now they got a one game lead over the Jets in the second round, and it's honestly the Western Conference. To me, I think I have been having my eyes glued to the Western Conference as much as I can.
What's it going to take this offseason for the Mammoth to actually become a playoff team? Where do they have to improve? What move or moves can they make that will really make the difference and get them into the playoffs? Because we don't. I mean, we love the draft and we love all that stuff, and we love that we have a nice new name, but we want to win. Okay, that's the bottom line. What does it take for us to win?
I think it's going to start with is bringing in, I think, a proven veterans, those who've been in the NHL before. But I mean, you can say that. I mean, or been in the Stanley Cup before, I should say. But I mean, you can say that about anything. But I think it's a unique situation because I feel like Utah could add a little bit more of those kind of like teacher style kinds of players who can act as a on ice coach. I feel like there are a lot of situations that this team has had over the last couple of seasons, dating back to Arizona as well, where they make the same mistakes. They make taking too many penalties or just not playing well in special teams as a whole, poor power play performance, poor penalty kill performance. Having in a veteran who also is like close to like a top six, middle six forward, I feel like could really go a long way on tightening up where this team's direction goes.
All right, there you have it, folks. Thank you so much, Robin, for tuning in, joining today. Really appreciate your comments, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks.
All righty, there you have it. It's now changed. Robin Leano, of course, she's the host of Locked On the Utah Mammoth. There, I said it first. I'm the first person to make the official name change. Everyone's changing their names today. The Pope, Leo, Utah Mammoth. I'm going to change my name. Martin, I want you to call me Billy Mitchell. That's actually my name, by the way.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah, see, Billy, my first name's William. And my second name is Scott.
See,
and then my last name's Mitchell.
so you're like one of my cousins. You guys the same thing. Him and his father have the same name, but the only reason why we call him Liam is because it's his middle name.
Right. I'm called by my middle name. I want to be called Billy Mitchell the 14th. Now the 19th. Billy Mitchell the 19th, because that's my number, 19.
I like that.
Billy Mitchell the 19th. So I'm an X, a V, and then followed by 4 1s, right? Is that 19?
I believe so.
Okay. See, I know my Roman numerals. I got it. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back. But let me tell you something real quick. It's ESPN 792.1 FM's Festival of Tees, powered by the Utah Golf Association, brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union. Each day, we're giving away free rounds of golf from the best courses in the state and beyond. Listen to the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. That's me from 10 to 11. The Sean O'Connell Show from 11 to 2. And The Drive with Spence Checketts from 2 to 6 for your chance to win. Today, we have 9 holes at Forest Dale. We're going to give that up pretty soon here in topical trivia coming up about, 20 minutes or so. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. All righty, sports fans. Welcome back. It's the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Scott Mitchell, better known, also known as, my new name is Billy Mitchell the 19th. I have been the newly appointed permanent, replacement substitution host here on ESPN 700. So my new name, Billy Mitchell the 19th. Yeah, I like that. ESPN 700 is pleased to welcome Eric Church to the Delta Center October 23rd, 2025. Tickets go on sale May 9th at 10 a.m. Listen to the Sean O'Connell Show this week for your chance to win a pair of tickets. All right, there you have it. What an interesting day. I don't know. There's something about when a pope gets elected. It's just a different thing. We got a new name for the hockey club. The Jazz are going to be right around the corner. I mean, picking a new lottery pick. The worst case scenario, they're going to pick number 5. Best case scenario, they're going to pick number 1. I like. I don't know. I just like. I like the optimism of where everything's going to go. Okay, today has been, I would say, because I'll be back here tomorrow, and it's going to be Fun Friday. It's going to be Football Friday. But today it's going to be mostly basketball. We've done a lot of basketball today. And we have a little fun segment that we like to do on our show, the Down and Dirty, which airs right before this show. So if you want to hear my show, you just start an hour earlier. You start at 10. Or, you go all the way back to the beginning of Dan Patrick, and then when he's over at 10, boom, I'm there. And then you have Sean's show. So, and you can hear me the same way you can hear the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 sports.com and ESPN 700 app. So all of it's good. And yes, I'm plugging my show because I like my show. I like to do my show. I like to do Sean's show. I like to talk about sports. Anyways, we do this little fun thing, and it's called Buy Sell. And so we give you a scenario, and it's all different kinds of sports. So, we might do players in basketball. We might do, teams. We might do, there's all kinds of things we do. And, we've done Big 12 teams. You buying that team, you selling that team. It's interesting. There's a new, I guess, a way too early poll that's come out, and I think Arizona State's up there, Iowa State's up there, Kansas State's up there, BYU is in the top 25. No Utah. I'm not seeing any polls that have Utah on them this early. And guess what? That's just how we like it. It is just how we like it. Now, in days gone yore, it's really bad if you're in a poll, if you're not in a poll early on, because if you look, you have a lot of teams from the Big Ten and the SEC that get into playoffs because they have all these teams ranked early. A team like Ole Miss last year, it wasn't very good. They were a good team, but they got into the playoffs a lot because they were a high team on the polls. And you could say the same thing about Indiana, right? They were kind of a pretender, but so much of it is the early season. You want to be high on those polls. It's really important. And so a team like in the Big 12 makes it really hard to get more than one team because you rank so low to start with. You're out of the top 10. You're out of the top 12 to start the season. So, and you're going to have a team in. You just want to have multiple teams because that's how you make all the money. All right, so we're buying and selling basketball today. We're buying and selling NBA basketball playoff teams. All right, so I'm going to give Martin a team, and he's either going to buy it or sell it. He's got to give a reason. He doesn't have. He can go into any kind of detail he wants, but then or just say, I just got a gut feeling on this, whatever. And what's cool about this game is you get to play along at home. So if you're driving in your car, wherever, you can join us in this little game we play, and you can buy and sell and If you want to give us a reason why, we'll listen to your reasons. If not, it's fine. So you can just play in silence, however you want to do it. All right, you ready to play, Martin?
Born ready.
That's what I like to hear. I was born ready.
Born ready.
I was born in the USA. All right, here we go. The Oklahoma City Thunder. Are you buying or selling the Thunder?
Buying. Listen, I do not hide it.
You're such a bandwagoner. Come on. That's so easy.
No,
really?
Listen, I can back this up, okay? I am not only a Bulls fan, I'm an OKC Thunder fan. I've been a Thunder fan for a very long time. This isn't just something I grew up with like 2 years ago, okay?
Fine.
I've been there, done that with the Thunder, okay? But my point on buying them is that I believe their performance in the second game is really who they are. They cannot try to play this tough mental game that they have to play versus Denver. They just need to step on the gas pedal and run them out of the gym. Just shoot the threes, get the layups, get the alley-oops, run these guys out of the gym. They do not have enough speed. They're trying to play very tough and mental, but OKC is a better team, faster team. They just need to play that up-paced tempo.
Hang on. You said donut?
Did I? I meant to say do not.
The donut? What kind of donut is that? Is it a beignet? Is
Sure.
that a Krispy Kreme donut? You ever have a Krispy Kreme donut?
Oh, I've had a Krispy Kreme donut. My favorites have always been the chocolate donuts with sprinkles on it.
Okay. Yeah. A hot Krispy Kreme's pretty good. There's some good donuts here in Utah too.
I think there's a Krispy Kreme still in Utah.
Is there?
I believe
Oh
so.
yeah. There's Krispy Kreme in Utah. Got to get it hot now though. All right, fine. I'm gonna buy them. I'm believing in them. Way too much talent, too good. Over the course of 7 games, they're probably going to win most of the games, any conference. Yeah, I'm definitely buying them. Well, so can you buy the Denver Nuggets if you buy OKC?
No, I'm gonna sell the.
You can't?
I'm gonna sell the Denver Nuggets. I think the 7-game series versus Clippers took a lot out of them. I think they're just mentally tired. I don't know if they're gonna get this back on track after even some rest versus Oklahoma City. I just think the Thunder are the better team in this series. I don't buy the Nuggets. I think a 7-game series surviving and then going on to OKC is too much.
So, by the way, just so I can clarify the rules, you can buy both teams. It's okay to buy both. This isn't who's going to win, who's going to lose. It's, are you buying this team right now? And I had to make that clarification because I'm going to buy the Denver Nuggets. I didn't think the Denver Nuggets would make it out of the first round of the playoffs. I thought they were dead in the water when they fired their coach. The fact that they won the first series, the fact that they won the first game in this semifinals, just tells me that there's a lot of heart and soul with the Nuggets. And love Jokic, love his game, love how he makes everyone around him better, and he's just a tough-minded individual. So they're not a team I'm going to get rid of and I'm going to sell. So I'm buying them. I'm buying the Denver Nuggets. So nanner. All right, here we go. Let's see. We got the Indiana Pacers.
I'll make this one quick. I'm going to buy them. Their 2 wins on the road versus Cleveland is just very impressive. Tyrese stepping up in the very moments that he's got to step up in. They've been surviving by heart attack styles through most of these playoffs already, but it seems to be working.
Who? See, I love what Tyrese Halliburton has done. I really do. And I love this team, you know, the fight in them, all of this stuff. They're our sister city in the Midwest. You know, they're very similar in their histories of the Utah Jazz, and got a great fan base, you know, really passionate fan base. I hate to say this, but I'm going to sell them.
Ooh.
As much as I don't know. I'm going to go with my gut here. But my gut's telling me, well, my gut tells me a lot because I got a lot of gut to tell, and it speaks loudly to me. Yeah, I don't get a whisper in my gut. I get this like thumping of a drum. Think of like the Polynesian war dance drums. That's what my gut sounds like. Boom, boom. Anyways, and it's telling me, boom, boom, get away from the Pacers. Go away fast. Okay, Minnesota Timberwolves. Are you buying or selling them?
I'm buying the Timberwolves. I just think they just had a game 1 lapse.
Have you? So you sold the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I sold
You're
the
just
Denver
buying
Nuggets.
everybody.
I'm buying legitimate teams that I think can put a series together. I still think Minnesota can get back into the series. Yeah, Gobert's getting exposed because he's got to defend against Green, but I mean, we saw what Anthony Edwards, Michael Jordan Jr. could do in the playoffs. Let's see if he can do it again in this round.
Oh, I love Ant. I really do. I think he's an incredible talent, an incredible player. He's young. He's still trying to figure out how to show up every night and play. I like a lot of his game. Yeah. I don't know. Wait, who are they playing?
They're playing Golden State.
Oh, well, they're going to beat Golden State now. This is a hard one for me. I just don't understand the mindset of them in that first game, and it I don't know what it is. It just seems they seem a little off. But I'm going to sell them. Again, my rumbling gut says sell. I've sold a couple of teams now. There's the Pacers and the Timberwolves. Golden State Warriors, buying or selling?
This is the team I'm gonna sell. This Steph Curry injury is bugging me on the reason why I can't buy him. I believe Jimmy Butler is solid. I believe Steve Kerr's system. I believe in Draymond. He can hold the fort down. But I'm selling the fact that I just believe these Timberwolves are going to wake up. I just think they're going to wake up, take over the series, and by the time Curry comes back, it'll be 3-1.
I think in sports, there comes a time when you have to make those tough decisions where you have these aging champions, and it feels like this Golden State team might be that. Seeing an injury with Steph Curry, it's been a long time since he's had an injury. Maybe he's just not quite where he was at one point. Even though I was really impressed with Golden State in the first round against Houston. I actually felt like Houston was more talented than them, more physical, bigger, but Golden State just knows how to win, and a very, very tough-minded team. But I like them. I actually really like Steve Kerr, but I think it's time to sell Golden State. So I'm on a 3-game selling streak here, by the way, and now we get to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, I think you're gonna go for another one here. I'm selling the Cavs. Listen, I love Donovan Mitchell. He's such a great player. He's got the abilities, but you have 2 starters that are injured. You have one of your bench core players that's injured. They don't have enough to stop Indiana. Indiana has their number. They're going back to Indiana. I feel for Mitchell. He's a one-man band trying to destroy an army, but I have to sell the Cavs.
Okay, I'm going to amend something here. I'm going to buy the Pacers. And I can do that because it's our game. We can make up the rules. We do whatever we want.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sell the Cavs for all of what you've said. It's like we had Gordy Chiez on here, and he just says, there's a team that just seems to beat you, and they just can't. They just own you in your mind until you find a way to beat them. And I think that's the deal with Donovan Mitchell is I think the playoffs own him, and he just can't seem to get out of the second round. For whatever reason, and they're injured, and so I don't know. Maybe overinflated in their win total this year. I'm gonna sell the Cavs. All right, Boston Celtics.
This is one that's gonna surprise you. I'm buying the Celtics. And listen, down 2-0, yeah.
Oh,
most people would be like, "Are you crazy?" Tom Thibodeau's defense has figured it out. Mikal Bridges is gonna stop Tatum. Brunson's gonna go off. No, I don't believe that. I believe the Celtics are going to get their stuff together. I believe they're going to come in New York with an anticipation of an anger, frustrational punch they're going to send to the Knicks. I think they'll tie this series up 2-2. I think they still can win this series. I don't think the Celtics are dead yet. I just think the Knicks have just gotten a really good right hook, and the Celtics are backed up.
You are cray-cray. You are cray-cray. I like the boldness of it. I do. I like that, they're not out. I'm selling the Celtics. I think that they don't know how to close out games right now. New York has really put it on them, and I'm just amazingly talented team, should be doing so much better than they are, but they do not seem to have an answer to figure out how to close out games, and that's the name of the game in the playoffs here. So I'm gonna sell the Celtics. This is a hard thing. I agree with a lot of what you said, but this is a little hard. All right, last team, New York Knicks.
I'm selling the Knicks.
Ooh.
What? You're going to sell a team that's up 2-0 on a defending champ? Yes, I am. Listen, they have gotten lucky in these 2 last games. This is, again, just like Indiana. It's been a cardiac heart attack type wins to get back into the series, 2 comeback wins. Yeah, Boston missed a bunch of 3-pointers. I don't think that's going to happen for the rest of the series. New York got away with a couple lucky wins. Tom Thibodeau's defensive structure still haunts me from Chicago days, and it's going to haunt New York. You just wait. The collapse is coming. I'm selling the Knicks.
Wow. Are you hungry? Because you seem hangry. Like you are laying down the takes today, buddy. Wow. I'm impressed. I am impressed. I'm buying the Knicks. I feel like everything you do, I'm doing the opposite. And I don't mean that on purpose, but because I'm not doing that, but because I have my own opinions and my own brain. I just like the Knicks feel like they are a team that's confident and comfortable where they are, and they seem like they have something to prove. They just seem locked in and focused, and I am definitely buying the New York Knickerbockers. Anyways, there you have it, folks. Hope you enjoyed that little exercise on the playoff teams of buy and sell. It's a fun thing that we do. Coming up around the corner, we have our topical trivia. We're giving away 2 tickets to Eric Church, and we're also giving away 9 holes of golf at Forest Dale. So we give away a lot of stuff today. So stay tuned. We may have some crosstalk. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if Spence is here today or not. Whatever. So always fun to chat with Spence when we get those opportunities. We'll see what happens. But stick around for topical trivia around the corner here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today and tomorrow. So glad you could join us today. Of course, we like to give things away, and we do that on the show about this time every day. We're giving away 2 tickets to Eric Church on October 23rd at the Delta Center, 9 holes of golf at Forest Dale, which is part of our Festival of Teas brought to you by the Utah Golf Association and Mountain America Credit Union. All right, so here it is. Here is our trivia question. I'm going to give you the question, and you text in the answer to 877-353-0700. That is the text line, 877-353-0700. Here is the trivia question. Coach Gordy Chiesa joined us for an hour. Coach, one of the famous things Coach does is he presents a list. On his list, he had the all-time playoff assist leaders. Who was number 2? The number 2 all-time assist leader, text 877-353-0700 for tickets and golf. Anyways, by the way, this saw something that was kind of fascinating. A ticket to the Knicks-Celtics Game 3. The cheapest ticket that you can actually find right now, $625. Between $625 and $743. That's the cheapest ticket you can get to the Knicks-Celtics Game 3 in New York.
Wow.
Which is, I don't know. That's like dinner in New York City, though. Like, that's nothing. Like, people in New York go, in fact, they're offended if the price isn't over, $600 or something.
Scott, what if I told you Premier League tickets across the pond were like $30 or $40 for like Premier League?
Premier League?
Premier League, the top English Premier League, they're like $30, $40.
Well, there's not the Celtics or the Knicks, so I don't know. Crosstalk is brought to you by Burt Brothers. Burt Brothers does it better. Joining us on the program right now is none other than Spence Checketts. He's the, of course, host of The Drive with Spence Checketts, which is coming up in a few minutes. Spence, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm well, Scott. That looks like a very handsome, comfortable golf shirt you're wearing. You look like it's a nice leisurely Thursday for you.
It is. I'm even wearing shorts.
Yeah,
and is that I mean, no one knows.
It's
right?
80 degrees outside.
Yeah, right.
It's shorts weather.
I think today, like it's spring, right? This really feels like.
It feels like it.
It really feels like spring.
You know, it's funny. Here, go ahead, because I've got to take on the ticket price you were just talking about.
Well, I was just gonna go with that. So please give me your take.
So
I was actually going to ask you about the Knicks and their resurgence and what that means.
I got to be honest, man. I'm giddy. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. You get in the business, and certainly somebody like you who played.
Yeah.
The fandom dies in you.
Right.
And so, I'm coming up on 20 years behind a microphone, and I don't remember the last time I was like this excited about a team that I grew up loving in the New York Knicks. But you referenced the ticket prices at MSG. I cannot wait. I actually was kicking the tires trying to get back there for one of these games. Yeah. I'm not sure if I can make it happen, but the Garden is going to be so electric. And I know people from the outside looking in hate the New York hubris and like, oh, you're the mecca of basketball. When's the last time you won a freaking title? I get all that.
Yeah. I think I said that earlier on the show. But
I think you represent the majority of people that look at New York from the outside looking in. Yeah. I just happen to have a different prism because that's my, essentially my home team. And I'm juiced that they're in this position. But I always cackle at like the price thing because I'm soft now that I've lived out here in Utah for basically 20 years. Yeah. Because I can remember when I first moved out here and I'd be driving downtown with friends or whatever, and we'd be going to like a concert or a game. And there'd be a sign that's like parking $15. And I'd be like, hey, right there, $15 to park. And my friends would be like, I'm not paying $15 to park.
Yeah.
When my family would go into Knick games, we drive our family Suburban.
Of course.
SUV, because,
How many kids in your family?
I'm the oldest of 6.
Oh, wow.
My parents have replenished the earth. They've done a great job.
You're the mistake child. You're the one that.
For sure. Yeah. For a number of different reasons.
Yeah, I was the youngest, the spoiled one.
But the bookends are always the mistake. The oldest, it's like, wait, are we ready for this? Then the youngest, I thought we were done, so we're both mistakes.
Right.
But I can remember when we would drive the Suburban into the city, whether we're going to a game or a play or dinner, whatever, these New York parking garages where they have like 4 or 5 different levels.
Of course.
To park for 2 hours, the Suburban in New York City was $330. So when I see $15 parking, I'm like sprinting, let's do that. But now I'm one of those guys I refuse to pay for parking. If I can help it, I won't pay $5 for it.
Okay, so tell me what it is about MSG that I've never been.
You've never been to the Garden?
No.
Yeah.
What makes it so special?
Well, again, this is going to come across as New York hubris that people will roll their eyes about, but it's Midtown Manhattan. It's the most electric part of the city because every point of every single borough is, centrally located, so you can access it via subway. You've got the Penn Station right there. There's always a buzz, even when they're bad, because there's a bunch going on outside the arena. And then inside the arena, it's not just Knick history. Like you walk down the hallway, there's a picture of Muhammad Ali. There's a picture of John Lennon. Like the best fights in the history of boxing or the best concerts in the history of music, they've all found a home in Madison Square Garden, the best stand-up comedy shows. So it's all of the history in that building surrounding the actual event. And then, look, the fans are lunatics, but they rule. They show up even when the team is bad because they want to talk what about the team when the team is bad.
Right.
And it's been so long since this team has been relevant that it's like this nice like wind in the sails, breath of fresh air. These fans are chomping at the bit. Quite frankly, if we're honest, this team has been relevant for 25 years.
Right. Yeah.
They had a 3 or 4 year stretch with Melo where they just didn't suck.
Right.
Won a couple of series. They never got past the second round.
Right.
Like, they have not been a series. Now, all of this is to say, I still don't think they're winning the series.
Oh, really?
I still don't think they beat Boston. Yeah.
Why is that? What?
Well, the Celtics will have one game where they just hit like 23s, and it's impossible to beat them when they do that.
Right.
And then I just have to imagine Boston's personnel. The Porzingis thing is weird because he's sick and nobody's like explaining it. He missed 8 games like in March, so they need him back. There's no doubt about that. But the personnel they have is completely suited for the system they run. They've just missed a grip of shots. Tatum looks lost. Yeah. I will give the Knicks a ton of credit for being certainly more, I would say, mentally tough and executing better down the stretch. But regression to the mean will happen. The second spectrum data all indicates Boston is simply not shooting well. And the Boston Celtics are one of the best road teams in the history of the NBA. This Boston Celtic team. So they're not going to be intimidated by MSG. This team won a championship 2 years ago. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Scott, have been to 5 Eastern Conference Finals. Like, nothing they see will deter them. And the Knicks have had to have a combination of horrible Boston execution and, quite frankly, miraculous shot-making at times from their roster to get 2 wins. So
I like it. And you're a Knicks fan too, right?
Yeah, I mean at the end of the day, I grew up with the Jazz and the Knicks, and those are the 2 teams. If I'm watching them, my heart wants them to win, the Jazz and the Knicks.
Okay, before we go, they elected a new pope today, Leo the 14th.
What are we doing with this one?
I'll share it with you.
Okay. Do they elect popes? Is it an election?
Yeah, they vote on it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's voted. They have a conclave.
Are we sure that the election wasn't stolen?
We don't know.
Okay.
We have no idea.
Well, I want an investigation.
Okay. Listen, this is the first time an American has actually become the pope, right? So he elected that his name is Leo the 14th.
Sure.
So I was like, I think I want to change my name. And so I want to go to Billy Mitchell the 19th. That's my new name. And my question to you is, have you ever wanted to change your name? At any point in your life, have you ever wanted to change your name?
Oh, good question. I think when I was young, like, the name Spencer is a pretty unique first name. There's not a lot of Spencers out there.
That's true.
Most of the Spencers here in Salt Lake are white guys my age.
Yeah.
Around, in their mid-40s, because at the time there was a president of the LDS Church whose name was Spencer.
Yes.
And so there's a group of us that were named after W. Kimball, rest in peace, shout out.
Okay.
But it's not a very it's a pretty unique first name. Do you remember the TV show Spencer for Hire back in the day?
Yes.
So I got a lot of that. I don't know that I ever wanted to change my name per se.
Okay.
I don't think it's anything that's ever really resonated.
No numerals behind it or anything like.
Nope, I'm one. Now my middle name is David after my father, and that's the tradition in our family. You name the oldest son the middle name of the first name of the father. Okay. So my son is Connor Spencer Checketts.
Okay, I like it. See, my name is William.
Okay.
After father, grandfather, great grandfather.
Where's Scott come from?
It's just an arbitrary name that just out of the blue.
Are you serious?
Yeah, totally. And so,
What?
not to keep me confused with everyone, they just named me. I was referred to Scott growing up, so I go by my middle name.
Even though Scott is not a derivative of William in any way, shape, or form.
Of course,
that's interesting. I never knew that about you.
Yeah. So Billy Mitchell, the 19th.
I'm gonna call you Billy Mitchell, the 19th,
please do.
henceforth and forever, Scott.
That's what I want.
Hey, real quick before you go, I know we got to get out of here. Give me 30 seconds on Cam, since Cam Rising has officially retired.
Oh yeah, we actually talked about it, and then all of a sudden he came up, and it ends for everyone at some point, and I actually think it probably ended for Cam a while ago. He just didn't know it, and a lot of it is you can spin it like, oh, the doctor's telling me this, doctor's telling me that, but I don't know how much of a real shot he had to go to the next level. And so I think he just said, look, now is the time to bow out. Now is the time to go a different direction. And it looks like he's going to be coaching high school football. And a lot of times that's a good outlet, a good transition.
You did it for a while?
For me, I went totally the opposite way. Is like, I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to watch it for years.
Okay.
I don't even care.
Interesting.
But it never leaves you. And then getting into coaching was just incredible. Loved it, and so it was a good thing and a good time to do it.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Good to see you, Scott.
Likewise. There you have it, folks. This is the Sean O'Connell Show. It's all done now. Thanks to Spence for doing a little crosstalk there with me. Thank you for everyone to show up today, and just had a lot of fun. So this is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell. It's now time for The Drive with Spence Checketts. Until then, we'll see you then.